Today I'm going to be reading Chapter 5 of Jordan's World. So let's go ahead and get into things. Oh, but first, coffee. All right, Chapter 5, Choices. Jordan's brother Mark knocked on her closed bedroom door 3 times. She responded by throwing a shoe at it. Jordan had been lounging on her lush, full-sized bed, which was lavished in rose pink and white patterns, as she exchanged texts on her phone with her friends Erica and Pamela. Undaunted, the 10-year-old walked in anyway. "Can you not get a hint, Mark? I'm on the phone. Mom called. She wants us to make supper." "Is she trying to make me cook again?" "If I give you money to buy us some pizzas, will you leave me alone?" "Sure." Jordan reached into her purse and grabbed 2 $20 bills and fluttered them in her hand to catch her brother's attention. Mark gladly put the money into his pants pocket and exited the room. "You know what I want on my pizza, right?" Jordan shouted. "Pepperoni, mushrooms, bell pepper, and extra sauce," Mark replied. "Bingo, bro," Jordan said. "You're the best." The crackling flames, combined with the aroma of the roasting fish flesh, enticed Jordan to return to the present. Her stomach also began grumbling loudly. Night had already fallen, and a moderate wind howled through their makeshift camp. It had taken all day to catch enough game for all 4 members of the hunting party to eat reasonably well. Before that, nearly 3 days had passed, while they had crossed an expanse of bitterly cold and lifeless tundra after descending the mountain which housed the Makta village. "I think your belly speaks for us all, Jordan," Bhopal laughed. "At this moment, I live for her cooking. The smell alone keeps me from passing out," Zaska said. "It is nice to be appreciated," Jordan chuckled. Raybon was sitting on a thick tree branch looking down at them. "Watch yourself, Jordan, or Zaska might make a meal of your right arm." Jordan peered up at Raybon and raised an eyebrow, more amused than irritated. "She is your mate, Raybon. Watch her yourself. Is that not why you climbed up there, to scout this area?" "Yes, and I would gladly watch my mate, but I doubt that will stop her when she is hungry." "Bhopal will protect me, right, Bhopal?" Jordan said. Bhopal grinned at first, but then he took on a stern expression. "With my life, if need be," Bhopal replied with bravado. "But I must get the first fish." "Now your protection comes with conditions," Jordan responded. "I need strength to protect you," he added. Jordan started to hand the stick with the largest fish to Bhopal, but stopped and took a bite out of the meat first, all the while looking straight at Bhopal. He looked back at her angrily until Raybon laughed and pointed at him from above. "Her meal comes with conditions too, Bhopal. She needs strength to cook more." "Either that or she just claimed you as hers," Zaska said. "Hey, I did not. I have not claimed anyone," Jordan said, embarrassed, her mouth barely containing her food. "Calm down, Jordan. My mate was joking," Raybon said. "Actually, I was not," Zaska said under her breath for Jordan's ear alone. Bhopal smiled and began devouring the rest of the seared animal meat. Jordan continued broiling 2 more meals, suddenly feeling shy and awkward around Bhopal while she joked with Raybon and Zaska. Within an hour, Jordan had made enough food for all of them. They laughed and told stories around the fire for some time. Eventually, Zaska dragged Raybon to their tent. Jordan was left alone with Bhopal. Jordan stirred the campfire and added some wood to keep it burning. Then she stared off into the distance, deep in thought. "I know that look," Bhopal said. "What?" Jordan turned to face him. "Jordan, you are thinking of your world again, the life you were taken from, yes?" "I had been, yes." "Is life bad for you here?" "No, of course not. I love my life here. I am Makta, like you." Bhopal nodded in satisfaction, but his eyes conveyed his lingering concern. "So, what troubles you?" "It is kind of silly. I feel foolish." "They are your feelings, so they are not foolish," he said. "Tell me." Jordan crossed her arms and turned to face slightly away from Bhopal. Then she sighed. Chiefess thinks it is time for me to choose a mate. She is right. You would do well to heed her. Jordan turned and gave him a brief half-smile. I know. So, what is wrong? Looking directly at Bhopal, her eyes shared how conflicted she felt within. Do not misunderstand. I could spend the rest of my life in the tribe with a mate and maybe children, but you want to go back to Earth, back to your family there? Is that wrong of me? I feel like I am being ungrateful. The tribe took us in, made us family. Bhopal took Jordan's hands in his and peered into her eyes. That is why we are out here, Bhopal said. That is why Chiefess told us to follow you, to find answers to your questions. Jordan thought back to a week earlier when she had sought an audience with the Chiefess. She shared her feelings and concerns with Kitranor, who listened patiently. Bhopal was also there, but he remained silent, sitting patiently near his Gemta. I do not know if there is a way back to your world, Jordan, Kitranor shared, but if one exists, it will be in the Tava region in the far southlands. The lights of Kitol, the ones you call the abductors, have been seen many times throughout our spoken history. Do you believe the abductors live there? I have never been there, Kitranor said with a faint smile. I have only lived among the Makta, but our ancestors once lived in the Southlands. In those times, our people saw the lights, even your people, on many occasions. The Kitol always brought your people to our world in groups of 2 or 3. Is that why you accepted us when we arrived? Kitranor did not immediately respond, but her demeanor softened. She looked at Jordan with sympathy and a maternal air. Yes, the Makta have always accepted your people. We knew they were strangers to our lands and world, that they had nothing and needed our help. In return, your people joined our tribe, lived among us, and increased our numbers. The blood of your people runs in our veins now. That's how you knew I could have children someday with a mate? Yes, Kitranor replied. But it will do you no good to choose a mate with your heart in 2 places, here and Earth. Someday you will have to choose, but not today. So if it eases your heart to seek answers from the Kitol, despite the dangers of leaving the protection of our tribe, I will allow it. Thank you, Chiefess. Kitchanor's expression hardened once more warning than anything else. On one condition. Yes, Chiefess? You cannot go alone, but you cannot take your Gemta. She would never survive the journey. You must take someone strong. I understand, Jordan nodded. I will go with her, Bhopal interjected. That is, if she will have me? Jordan nodded in agreement. Also take Zaska and Raymond in your hunting party. You are safer in a pack. Agreed, Bhopal said, standing up. Then that is what we will do, Jordan added. Take minimal supplies. You will travel faster, and it is a long journey, Kitranor said. There is plenty of game and water between here and the Southlands. Chiefess is wise, Jordan replied, bowing slightly in respect. Good hunting, Kitranor replied. Now, so far from the Makta Mountain, Jordan and Bhopal watched the fire dwindle to burning embers. Even though he was no longer holding her hands, she felt like he was still offering that kind of encouragement to her. Thank you for understanding me, Jordan said. I am glad to know I have your support, your friendship. I have seen your many moods. I do understand you, and I will continue to help you any way I can. Dream well, Bhopal. Dream well. Jordan laid down in her tent and closed the flaps. She covered herself in a layer of furs and allowed her exhaustion to catch up with her. Sis? Mark? When Jordan opened her eyes, she was in her room on Earth. It was just as she remembered, with framed original paintings by her Uncle James on the light pink walls, a large window covered by vertical blinds near the foot of her plush bed. There was also a desk against one corner with her computer, monitor, and speakers. Mark was standing next to her looking concerned. The light shining through the blinds, along with her brother's clothing, told her it was a school day and morning time. Sis, I couldn't wake you up. Are you okay? Yeah. Is Mom here? Mom's at work. Oh, right, Jordan said, sitting up in bed, scratching her head. You overslept. I made you some toast, but we gotta go if we're gonna get to school on time. Okay, I'll be right down. After getting dressed and walking downstairs, she realized that her brother was gone. Did he already leave without me? The scent of the warm and buttered toast that Mark had left for her reached her, and she devoured both pieces and chased them down with some milk. Then Jordan walked briskly to the front door, but it wouldn't budge. She twisted and shook the knob back and forth to no avail. Quickly filling with anxiety, she beat furiously on the door, crying in frustration, but she couldn't open it. Jordan! Bhopal had his hand on her shoulder. He was leaning into her tent, eyes wide in concern. Jordan looked around. She had been dreaming. Putting her hand to her cheek, she felt tears she didn't know she'd cried. Flustered, she looked down. She pinched her arm. This was reality. I heard you moving around and talking in your sleep. I thought you might be having a bad dream, Bhopal said. Then you started screaming and I had to help you, but I could not wake you. Are you all right? That is what my brother said in the dream, Jordan said, still looking down, her voice weak and wavering. You dreamed of your brother? I am always thinking of him, Jordan said. I guess it makes sense I would dream about him. Yes, I suppose it does, Bhopal said. What happened in the dream? I was home, but I could not leave the house. My brother had gone, and I was alone, trapped inside. Maybe that is how Jordan feels? Trapped? She looked up at her friend. What do you mean, Bhopal? You are trapped on our world, but you wish to go home. Maybe. Bhopal sat with Jordan outside her tent until the morning. It comforted her that he would give up his own sleep to make sure she was okay. Perhaps the lure of returning to Earth is what is trapping me, she thought. Maybe I'm using memories of my brother as an excuse. I know I have everything I need to make a life here on Algorand. Am I afraid of settling down? Is that why I am pushing so hard to go home? She looked all around her, at the distant sunrise to the north, at Bhopal, and at the signs of movement within the tent of Raban and Zaska. Jordan looked up at the receding night in the southern skies and took a deep breath. She exhaled and stood up. Jordan? I am only trapped if I let myself be trapped. I do not understand. I have a say over this, so I do not have to feel cornered like a beast. Chieftess is right. I have decisions to make, Jordan said. What kind of life, what kind of future do I want? Where do I want it to be? Do you have the answers to those questions? Zaska's words came to mind. Tribe is family, but not like blood. My Gemta is here. Tribe can be family and blood, Jordan thought. And if I took a mate and had a child, tribe would be family and blood. It all depends on where I want my family, my blood, to live. She looked at Bhopal, whose concern for her was still evident in his eyes. Then she viewed Raban and Zaska's tent, feeling a reassurance. They might not be blood, but they were certainly family. She trusted each of them with her safety and well-being. They had been there for Jordan and her Gemta in a way no friend on Earth ever could have. Only her Gemta brother and Torkam rested deeper in her heart. It is not an easy decision, Jordan said, frustrated. Whatever path I take, people will get hurt. I will get hurt. I will have to leave behind one of my families. I think I understand, Bhopal replied, slowly and thoughtfully. And I do not envy you. Me either, Jordan quipped with a brief lopsided smile, frustrated but trying to remain optimistic. She stood up and offered her hand to her friend. Come, we have a long day ahead of us. And that is the end of Chapter 5. And that's the end of the readings from Jordan's World. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will join me Monday as we begin Book 2 in the Jordan of Algorand series, Jordan's Arrow.